Hello everyone, welcome back to Elephino Open number 14. We are getting ready to start the finals match between Sneezy Dwarf and Moxie. So this is the moment we've all been waiting for. One of these players will be crowned the Elephino Open number 14 champion. Let me show you the bracket because you can see part of the path that they went through to get here. Oh, that's not the bracket. There we go. So here we have it, Sneezy Dwarf versus Moxie in the championship. The loser of this match will be in second place, obviously, and they will take home $10 and 2 points in the World Championship Tour standings, where the victor will be first place champion. They will take home $15 whole and 3 points in the World Championship Tour standings. So the championship tour points are what's really on the line here. That's what the players come for, trying to qualify for their spot in the Blizzard Spring Preliminary Tournaments. That's for the top 128 point earners per region. This is an Americas region tournament. So all these players are playing on the Americas server. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get these guys to start playing, and then we will get us into the action here for the final match of the Elephino Open number 14 tournament. Moxie is going to be on the bottom of your screen. He has Druid, Hunter, and Priest. Sneezy Dwarf going to be on the top of your screen, running Shaman, Warrior, and Warlock. Again, you don't have to memorize that. It's going to be displayed right now. So here we go. Let me flip over Sneezy's cards.
The light shall bring victory.
So here we have it. Moxie going to open up with Priest. Sneezy Dwarf on the top, opening up with Warlock. We finally get to see Priest played in this tournament. Oh, looks like we got, of course, another spectator bug. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what happened. Let me back us out of here. And we will get us back in there, hopefully very shortly. Won't even bother switching scenes on you. I don't want you to miss any of the action, any more than you already have to. So here we go. We just missed one turn. Unfortunately, not something I can control. That is a spectator bug. That occasionally happens. Hopefully we'll see that patched coming up in the future. But for now, oh, we did not flip over the cards. Well, we are spectating already. We should be able to see Hughes's, or rather Sneezy Dwarf's cards. Are you sure you want to stop spectating? No, we should be able to spectate both at the same time. So that's interesting. Debating if I want to back out. I don't think I do. I guess we'll see. Yeah, I guess I do. It's going to be a slow turn here real quick. So I apologize one more time. Let's try to set this up. See if we can get it to cooperate with us. We know he's doing battle with a friend, and that's what we want to watch. Okay, that's interesting. Let's see if we can flip him just for this match, maybe. See if we can put Sneezy Dwarf on the bottom. I don't know why it's not cooperating. Hopefully we'll get it sorted out next match. But Sneezy Dwarf is on the bottom. Moxie is on the top. Perhaps it was because Sneezy Dwarf has spectator mode disabled and he had to invite me. That might have been what was messing up. But now we can't see Moxie's cards. So we'll leave it as it is for this game. I will fix it hopefully between games. So I do apologize that we cannot see this. Again, Sneezy Dwarf is on the bottom with Warlock. I was trying to something cute to flip the board, but unfortunately I was not successful. But now Sneezy Dwarf here on the bottom with Warlock. Able to flood the board a little bit after the light bomb went off from Moxie. And we'll see if he can maintain this pressure. I believe we saw a Holy Nova while I was dealing with some spectator bug issues, so it might be less likely that that Moxie has another one. But you never know, maybe he does. Oh, he missed the Elise Starseeker. Must have come out earlier. That's the only reason for that. Ooh, the nice combo with that is Circle of Healing. He's able to clear off Sneezy Dwarf's side of the board.
Do you need a blessing?
And now Sneezy Dwarf forced to reload as much as he can. Gonna go ahead and toss out the Iron Beak Owl, sacrifice that to Oblivion. And now we're unfortunately playing blind on Moxie's side. I'll continue to try to flip those over. See, every time it tries to, let's see what happens if I hit confirm. I took the risk. I knew I was going to take the risk. Alright, let's get back in there. We'll put Moxie correct again. And if we can't see both, at least the scoreboard on the side will... Oh, come on. Don't do this to me, Blizzard. Not now. Not like this. Let me try to reset the client. I tried to fix it and made it worse. Let me reset the client. And we'll hopefully get back in there very shortly. Terribly sorry for this lack of production value we are experiencing right now. Hopefully our Hearthstone client can get its act together here going forward. I really encourage them to not have to invite me. I ask that they check spectator mode, because that's something that you can turn off. You can turn off allow friends to spectate your games, but for whatever reason it's not allowing me to spectate Moxie, so we're gonna have to go back to exactly how it was before I tried to get cute with Sneezy Dwarf on the bottom still. So I did all of that for nothing. And now the board belongs to Sneezy Dwarf, but we can see he's in top deck and life tap mode. Yes, he's fizzled out quite a bit down there, so if Moxie can deal with this board, he could be in a very commanding position going forward. He's still at 14 health, which is not terrible. He's going to be able to get the value trade here with the Cabal. And the current board presence cannot clear that, but the Implosion will help him. So if he thinks he's going to roll high on this Implosion, he will want to sacrifice in one of these minions. It just makes sense anyway. We're going to have to do it regardless. Only gets the 2, so he's going to have to throw a couple more imps into there. And now we shall see what Moxie has at his disposal up there. Picking up that improved hero power from Justicar could be huge going forward, and it will probably be enough to hold off Sneezy Dwarf. We'll see if that's true or not. I imagine he'll take the value trade here on the Imp King boss. Oh, nope, he's going face. He sees lethal in his sights, and he's going to go for it and force Sneezy Dwarf to make the trades. So now Sneezy Dwarf forced to make a couple trades here. He looks like he's going to use the Power Overwhelming to clear off the Emperor Thorzen and cash in the other 2. So he gets board control back, I should say. But it's not a very impressive board. And he gets another Emperor Thorzen from the Golden Monkey. And he got a lot of cards. He still has 13 cards in his deck. He was able to draw the map and draw the golden monkey very, very quickly.
My shield for Argon.
And it's going to be a huge uphill battle for Sneezy Dwarf. As you can see, he's decided not to trade whatsoever. He could have killed off the Emperor Thorzen, but he knows he doesn't have much left in the tank, and he's going to have to start putting the pressure on and try to kill Moxie before this just goes completely out of hand.
I must consider.
Moxie was just legendaries though, so there are no legendary spells yet in Hearthstone. So it'll just be minions up there. So that's why it'd be really fun to see what Moxie has, but unfortunately, the Hearthstone client had other plans. So we're just going to get to see exactly what Sneezy Dwarf does here. We don't get the competitive edge at this moment. Bram Bronzebeard, not going to be a whole lot of help here. He's going to have to tap into something. He does get it. Does go for the tap. He picks up a Direwolf Alpha. That's not enough for lethal. And Sneezy Dwarf sees it. So Moxie on the top, regardless of what on the left says, is going to take game one with his priest. Let me reset the client one more time. Hopefully I can race them before they start another game here. And we can spectate this the correct way. So really hope this works for us. That would be most unfortunate if we're stuck with that view for the remainder of the finals. Let's see if we can get this going. So they're doing battle, so let's get you in there. Okay, I am able to spectate Moxie this time, so that's really good. It's a good sign. So we got Moxie on the bottom of your screen with Druid, and Sneezy Dwarf on the top of your screen with Warrior. Okay, we were able to spectate both of them. Hopefully Sneezy Dwarf's cards will flip over any moment now. There we go. Looks like we got it sorted out. Had to restart the client another time, but it appears to be correct. Let me give Moxie's priest a victory, signifying that he is up 1-0 here in the finals of Elephino Open number 14. The score on your left is correct. The players are in the correct spot. Moxie on the bottom with the Druid, Sneezy Dwarf on the top, picking up that War Axe to clear off the innervated piloted Shredder, which is generally a very, very good start and still is here. Gonna take out both charges of the Fiery War Axe and a lot of damage. You see Sneezy Dwarf already down to 22 health. Just because of how he was forced to clear off that piloted Shredder. Didn't really have a better way. There's not a whole lot of other ways to deal with that. The other innervate coming out allows Sylvanas just a huge early curve for Moxie. And he's not going to slow down next turn. He has the Sludge Belcher to back it up. He could use the Wild Growth for late game ramp, or he could save it if he wants to. Now the Azure Drake being picked up, he's got a choice to make. He is going to sacrifice this to the Death Spite. Wants to keep the Sludge Belcher around for a little bit longer. Something where it doesn't allow Sneezy Dwarf to get the Death Rattle benefit off the Death Spite. So Deathbite, another card that came out in Next Ramus, so it will not be eligible to be played in standard format. You'll just be stuck with Wild if you want to play some of those fun cards. So hopefully Warrior will pick up another weapon. I don't know if it'll be as strong as Deathbite, but they're gonna need something if they want to stay viable. So I imagine Blizzard will definitely account for that. That's not any spoilers. I don't know. I have no idea what they're doing. That's not a leak that that a cool weapon is coming for Warrior. I just imagine knowing how good of a card Despite is, you're going to want to give another similar utility to Warrior to keep it competitive, I would imagine. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. The speculations stop here on that subject. And now Moxie didn't have a whole lot. He was debating on the Wrath over the hero power, but he just went with the hero power. He could have cleared it off with the Wrath and the Sludge Belcher,
I can take the hit.
but it looks like he's going to try to bait in the attack, which is not going to happen. It looks like he was hoping the Sylvanas would have to attack into the Sludge Belcher, which would leave him free to Wrath it down this turn to hopefully pick up something to play. He does get a Druid of the Claw, which helps him out maybe a little bit. He could use the Swipe Wrath combo, trade in the Keeper of the Grove. That would clear the board, but he wouldn't be able to do much on the backside of that. So he does pick up the Aspirin, so that gives him a little bit of board presence after this trade. So he does go for the play that I talked about. And thanks to the Darnassus Aspirin being picked up, he can play it if he wants to. He may just settle for the hero power. So that's the debate. And now Sneezy Dwarf. Not a whole lot of options in his hand. He may draw, cycle that shield block. Seems like a pretty good start. I doubt he wanted to play the Grom just right now. So he's going to use double shield block. He just picks up a lot of armor that turn. Feels pretty safe. No board presence from Moxie, so it seemed pretty good to just start building up the armor. Refill your hand the best you can. Now Moxie finally cashing in that Wild Growth.
Where shall I strike?
Keeper of the Grove could be clutch going forward. May give him may have another silence target that he wants to take advantage of. Sludge Belcher or something like that. Pretty good silence target. First half of the combo being picked up, but we'll see if Mox is able to put enough pressure on. Sneezy Dwarf is still at 23 health. Not a whole lot of board presence for Moxie, but it is something. So Sneezy Dwarf's going to have to deal with that however he wants to. Slam Cruel Task seems like a pretty good way. And then he can slam in he can either bash or use his weapon to clear the other. Nope, he's got a different plan. He's going to bash that one. He's going to save the Cruel Task as a activator for Gromp. Definitely viable as well. But Moxie is still at 28 in his own right, so he's not too scared of dying either. So it could be a while until we see that Grom Cruel Task combo come out for Sneezy Dwarf. Big pickup, the Ancient of Lore for Moxie, able to refill his hand a little bit. See him picking up the Dr. Boom. That'll probably come out next turn, depending on what Sneezy Dwarf does. He's gonna put out Phase 1 of Elise. Now that this game's probably gonna go on for a little while at least. Although with the help of this Dr. Boom, if it doesn't get cleared and Moxie picks up a Force of Nature Savage Aura combo, that's a lot of damage. Sneezy Dwarf at 21. He has some answers for this, but it's really just about Brawl at the moment. Looks like he's going to go for the Revenge on the Acolyte of Pain. See if he can draw into an Execute would be ideal here. At least soaking up the boom bots. And now kind of awkward for Sneezy Dwarf. He's going to have to go with a 50-50 Brawl here. Feeling really threatened. He knows he's dead to combo if the boom lives and he gets the Acolyte of Pain. What a champion. The Acolyte of Pain coming in huge for Sneezy Dwarf. We know that Moxie did not have the combo. But Sneezy Dwarf does not know that. And now Sneezy Dwarf feels a little bit more comfortable. Ooh, there's the Savage Roar coming in. But Sneezy, if he can pick up a Justicar here fairly soon, he might be able to stack up enough armor to pull this game out. Doesn't really have any draw this turn, so the Shield Maiden looks like it's going to be the only option whenever he goes back up to Sneezy Dwarf's side. But first, Moxie's got to use this hero power to clear off the Acolyte. Seems about the only option. Living Roots as well. Why not? You've already seen a Brawl. You've got to start chipping away at that armor, looking at your hand. If that board survives, you got Force of Nature Savage Ore for a lot of damage with what's on board. Baron Geddon could be a huge pickup. It's another clear for Sneezy Dwarf. He can hero power on the backside of it, so he'd essentially just be taking 2 damage this turn if he goes that route. He does not. Gonna finally use up that Cruel Task, so giving up on buffing the Grom. So I'll have to find another way to activate that if he wants to use that as his finisher. Whether he needs it or not remains to be seen. Lotheb, I guess the only option. He may use the combo to clear here, but it does not feel great. But at the same time, if you just throw in the Lotheb, Sneezy has an answer to it on board, so he's trying to build up board presence before he uses this combo, but doesn't really have the minions to sustain it, so just forced to trade off the combo and sacrifice that in to keep the board clear. But Sneezy Dwarf pretty happy to see that. Moxie down to 2 cards in hand. You've already seen a combo used. Was even nice enough to leave up this 1/1 to enrage Grom going forward, but that opens up the door to Big Game Hunter. So Sneezy Dwarf might have been a little bit baited by for the Grom. Moxie had the answer in hand. So that might have been Moxie's plan all along, we don't know, but either way it worked out pretty well for him. And now, unfortunately, he cannot Shield Slam and play Baron Geddon. He can Baron Geddon and swing into the Lotheb, which would clear the board. He's going to take 5 to the face, but again, Moxie in top deck mode. Highly unlikely that these 2 cards will be another combo, and even if it is, he would be 1 damage short of lethal. So feeling pretty good. Sneezy Dwarf has weathered most of the storm, but Moxie's not really letting up. We talk about how he was kind of fizzling out, but he still keeps coming back with these pretty good minions. Yeah, Sneezy Dwarf's going to have to answer, and he's kind of running out of removal. He doesn't want to use weapons too much to clear the board. That's a little unfortunate. He gets an extra damage in on Baron Geddon, which will allow Moxie to hero power that down if he wants to. But since Sneezy Dwarf left the Direwolf Alpha, oh, obviously the Death Rattle. So never mind that space there for a second. But the point remains the same, that Moxie is allowed to hero power that down now, which I imagine is a path he will take. Ancient of Lore, another clutch Ancient of Lore. Just kind of just refilling his hand. Moxie drawing into some big threats, and if he can just stick around long enough, Sneezy is running out of clears. He's going to have to use a swing and a bash here. Sneezy Dwarf kind of out of his burst as well. The Enraging a Grom is kind of their finisher for most games, and that's already been used, so Sneezy's going to have to chip away. But Moxie's not letting up either, so while he wants to chip away, Moxie's still dropping these decent-sized bombs on the board. And keeping Sneezy Dwarf in his sights, only able to get up to 14.
Speak to me.
He's going to clear this with a Despite and Revenge. Puts himself down to 10. Does pick up a Justicar, not able to play it this turn, but the hero power, if he can start stacking those up going forward, That could be huge. So as talked about earlier, going to establish the War Axe right now, so he doesn't have to worry about next turn. He can do a Hero Power Justicar Hero Power turn if he wants to, and he'll already have the weapon equipped. So Moxie out of cards, as you can see on the right side of your screen, so we're going to have to see how much mileage he can get out of Emperor and Ancient of War here. And this Justicar is gonna be could be a nail in the coffin, especially with this execute already up. We'll see if he uses it here on the Emperor. He does not, which means he will have it at his disposal for the Ancient of War. So this will leave Sneezy Dwarf free to swing in and execute. Let's start stacking a lot of armor, and I don't see a way for Moxie to come back in this. Of course, we know an execute's in hand for Sneezy, so he's going to have to go with the uproot here and just hope that there's no way to deal with this. But we know that that exact play is going to put Moxie completely out of resources with the big game hunter swing into the Emperor, the execute coming. You guys all know exactly how this is going to go down, and that means that Sneezy Dwarf is going to even up the series at 1 game apiece, taking the victory here with his warrior. Moxie completely out of ammunition. And Sneezy Dwarf was able to successfully weather all of the minions from Moxie, so very impressive. He was able to use all of his removal very effectively in order to take that win with his control warrior, which, as I talked about earlier, and was kind of backed up by the results of a previous match, that many would consider Druid to be a counter to control warrior. So, but it doesn't matter now. Sneezy Dwarf was able to get the victory.
Your soul shall be mine. I must protect the wild.
So now we have Moxie sticking with his Druid, gonna give it another shot here against Sneezy Dwarf's Warlock. So again, the series is tied up 1-1. You can see the score on the left side of your screen. Moxie got the game 1 victory with Priest. Sneezy Dwarf, game 2 victory that we just saw with Warrior.
Why do you call? Get in there, fight, maggot.
And Sneezy Dwarf with a really nice early game curve here. He has the Imp Gang boss even to come out on turn 3, so able to establish a lot of pressure. We'll see if Mox is able to recover. He has some tools to recover. He's going to be able to start playing, start coming back here on board with the Piloted Shredder or the Keeper of the Grove, if that's what he wants to go with. Keeper seems pretty good. Peg off that Flame Imp. Try to stem the bleeding from Sneezy Dwarf's side. This defender kind of feels a little bit bad. Moxie already down to 12 health. Just so much pressure early game from Zoo. He had a phenomenal curve early game and was able to flood the board. And that's not a it's not a strength of Druid to clear large boards. If, like I said before, Swipe can't do it, they're in some trouble. So we'll see if he spots a way out of this. Otherwise, this could be a really quick game 3 for the Warlock. He has to start with the Wrath for 1. We'll see what he draws. Picks up a Piloted Shredder. But silencing off the Imp Gang boss seems like a really, really strong play. Means he won't get any more value off imps coming out of that Imp Gang boss, and it also silenced off the Defender of Argus buff that was placed on it. So it seemed pretty good, kind of slowing him down just a little bit, but with that Doomguard in hand, I imagine Sneezy Dwarf's gonna go face set his opponent down to 4. And I don't know what could save Moxie here. He seems to be in a world of hurt. He doesn't have a taunt. I don't even know if that would save him. The swipe's not going to do enough work. So even if he was able to clear the entire board without a taunt, Sneezy Dwarf just has that Doom Guard to finish him off, even if Moxie hero powers here. None of that's going to happen. Moxie's going to concede game 3, and Sneezy Dwarf very quickly going up in the series now. 2 games to 1 on the back of a very, very strong opening curve by his Warlock. So definitely a much quicker game than we saw with his Control Warrior, having to grind out every single card from Moxie's Druid. So here we go, game 4, championship match, Elephino Open, number 14. Sneezy Dwarf trying to close out the series right here, take home the victory. Moxie trying to bring this series to a game 5. We'll see if he's successful. Sneezy Dwarf just left with just his Shaman. So we'll see if he's able to get enough early game pressure. He has another phenomenal early game curve. Double Tunnel Trog, turn 1, thanks to the coin. Huge start. Doesn't have any overload cards that he can play next turn, but I doubt that's going to slow him down. Oh, he picked, that is huge! What a huge pickup! The Totem Golem, gonna buff both of them! And Sneezy Dwarf with just an insane curve at the beginning, gonna flood the board just like he did with the Zoo Warlock. And Moxie gonna be forced to try to come back yet again. Swipe really nice here. Will allow him to clear off 2 minions. It will not even kill the Aspirin, so he'll leave that alive. So hopefully he can cash that in for a little bit more value. He'll get more mileage out of that Aspirant, putting in work. But that Crackle's gonna soak up some damage. So he uses the Crackle to clear off the Aspirant. Interesting, very interesting. Some of your burst damage. He valued the Teletrog staying alive. But now Moxie able to clear that off, and thanks to that Crackle, a little bit of burst from Sneezy Dwarf, and Moxie able to clear the board. We'll see if he can start to stabilize here. He has the Ancient of Lore in his hand, if he can make it that far for a little bit of heal. But Feral Spirit, a really good pickup here. Able to flood the board again very, very nicely. Keeper of the Grove. I guess you're going to have to play it. Unfortunately, you're not able to Keeper of the Grove and Hero Power. So he's going to save that play for the future. He's going to go with the Mind Control tech here. Which maybe that was a little bit better anyway, because the Mind Control tech is able to trade in a little bit more cleanly and kill off the wolves. Whereas the Keeper only having 2 attack would have made that a little bit more awkward. So Moxie even setting that up. He's setting up for using the hero power this turn, so he can set up the Keeper to trade that off on turn 6. But Sneezy Dwarf, no secret to his plan. He is going face. And now Moxie also has the Force of Nature if he wants to clear that way, so that might have been why he was setting it down to 2 as well. Definitely thinking a step ahead. Very high skill level. Both of these players. Very impressive. Moxie's still at 17. He's doing okay. Sneezy Dwarf has not picked up a Doom Hammer. But he is able to flood the board up pretty nicely, and those Leprognomes gonna do direct damage to Moxie's face when they die, obviously. So I think he feels probably safe enough here to just use the Sludge Belcher and trade off that Mind Control tech. We'll see if he wants to hero power down the Leprechaun or just go face. He is gonna go with that play, so he's gonna set himself down to 12. With the trade, he's going to go down to 10. But he does have a taunt in the way. He can use both of those spells if he wants to be able to send the Rider face, which seems pretty good. Keeps the Divine Shield intact. Healing Totem, not going to be a whole lot of help yet. So Moxie now down to 8, picks up another taunt. That could be huge for him. We'll see how threatened he is at this time. He could also go with the Ancient of Lore to heal back up. Both seem pretty strong. Obviously, Sneezy Dwarf's in top deck mode, so I'm actually not afraid of a whole lot of burst damage, so he might be happy here with just the taunt, which will allow him to hero power and try to be a little bit greedier with his heals. But no combo pieces in hand anymore. He was forced to use one Force of Nature to clear off, so there's the Crackle. Picked up by Sneezy Dwarf, not feeling confident that he's going to roll a 6 here. So he's going to hold back on that for now until he gets more burst damage to go over the top, would be my guess. And now Moxie with a bunch of decisions here. Ancient of Lore, hero power seems pretty good. But at the same time, if you're not afraid of threats over the top, you could do double Keeper of the Grove, clear off the Horse Rider without taking any face damage. So here we go, here's the heal that we were talking about. It looks like he's going to clear off these minions to give Sneezy Dwarf less likelihood of rolling a spell power totem. It's a really heads up play for Moxie, knowing that with 2 totems already on board, Sneezy Dwarf had a 50-50 shot at picking up a spell power totem. And he knows that card in Sneezy Dwarf's hand is a spell, otherwise it would have been played by now for sure. So he knows Sneezy Dwarf is building up some burst to kill him over the top. So he's going to want to prevent that as much as he can. That's why he took the heal. He's trying not to clear anything with his face unless he has to in the future. Abusive Sergeant will allow the Horse Rider to clear off the taunt, only using the Divine Shield. He does finally get a spell power totem. Let's see if he uses that on the face. He does. Moxie set down to 10, but 10 is a pretty decent health total when Sneezy Dwarf is just in top deck mode. And now Moxie able to clear the board finally, and looks like he's staved off the pressure from Sneezy Dwarf very successfully. And may be able to take this game now that we're in. Save off the pressure, you go to the long game, and that's how you beat the aggro shaman. Just gotta withhold their early burst. One huge point is that Sneezy Dwarf did not get a Doomhammer. That's what he's been looking for quite a while. And now he's just gonna concede this over, assuming that Moxie's got a lot of damage on board, probably got some burst in hand. So Moxie, game 4 with the Druid, able to tie up the series at 2 games apiece. We're going to go to the distance. Game 5, Elephino Open, number 14 championship. There's a victory for Moxie's Druid. He's left with the Hunter. Sneezy Dwarf with the Shaman again. And this game is for the championship. The winner of this game will be Elephino Open, number 14 champion. Pretty good curve again for Sneezy Dwarf. Not the greatest from Moxie, but I've seen worse. We'll see if he's able to hold off the early pressure again. So a couple of decisions here. It may not look like much from Sneezy Dwarf, but if he does the Ancestral Knowledge, he could trade in if he wants to. or just go more damage to the face. You can also use the abusive to trade up, or send it to the face. So he's gonna make he's gonna let Moxie dictate these trades. And not a whole lot of options here for Moxie. If he goes with the freezing trap, he's probably going to want to trade into the abusive sergeant, prevent that battle cry from getting freezing trapped and come out again. So that's the line of play he takes. Either of these minions, whichever one attacks first, will be sent back. So I assume Sneezy Dwarf will play around this and go in with the Leper Gnome. So there he goes. Leaves this, I imagine it's, oh, it's Bear Trap, and here we go. So if Sneezy Dwarf decides to attack in, he will proc the Bear Trap. So he's playing around Bear Trap, and I suppose a little bit around Explosive, although if he thought it was Explosive, he probably would have traded, or attacked in first before playing the Leper Gnome, so... Looks like he was playing around exactly Bear with that. So pretty good on his part, sniffing out the secrets. And Moxie has reached the mid-game, finally able to drop some substantial minions here, more substantial minions with the Pilot Destroyer. Sneezy Dwarf gonna, pretty sure it's Bear, based off how he treated it last time. So we'll see how he wants to make these trades. Nice, gets a minion that can come out of the Pilot Destroyer. That's good for Sneezy Dwarf. He can kill it with the Leper Gnome. And still not willing to proc that secret, especially with the bow up. He doesn't want to give Moxie an extra charge of that bow, but meanwhile, Moxie's going to keep hitting him in the face, and that's actually staving off damage from Sneezy Dwarf. So now we'll see, he's finally going to attack in, proc the Bear Trap. See if Sneezy Dwarf wants to clear it here. He's going to have to sink a 5 damage Lava Burst into it. And now, Moxie in actually a pretty good shape. He's at 21 health. Sneezy Dwarf still without a Doom Hammer. He's able to clear the board here if he wants to, without taking any damage. And he would keep at least one minion alive on board, depending on how he wants to sequence this. So the Houndmaster buff and the Haunted Creeper, he does do the double trade as talked about. Seems pretty good to clear the board. Sets up a pretty intimidating board of your own and clear your opponents. That's pretty much Hearthstone. That's going to be pretty good on his part. And now Sneezy Dwarf for that Earthshock. I mean, it's not the worst top deck, I suppose. It has a pretty good target. Be able to get double value, gets rid of the taunt and the buff from the Houndmaster, as well as the Death Rattle already on it. But otherwise, he's on cleanup duty. And now Moxie's just going with the Unleash the Hounds for one juggle. We'll see if he's able to connect. Doesn't really matter, he can trade both of those minions. The juggle placement was pretty relevant there. And now Moxie even going to cash in the weapon charge. So he's got 4, 7, 9 damage on board. Assuming a beast lives, he would have 7 more from hand, so that wouldn't have quite been lethal, but it doesn't matter anyway, because Sneezy Dwarf's gonna continue cleanup duty here and leave him with just a couple of 1/1s. Both of those are still beasts, though. Okay, now that one is still a beast, though. So he is buff. He can buff the kill command, but not a great target for it. We'll see how threatened he is by that Flame Juggler. Although killing it with the kill command does protect your own Knife Juggler. So that would be an argument for using it here. And just let your hero power do the talking. Keep whittling away at Sneezy Dwarf's life total. We're going to debate. Definitely an important decision. Again, this game, whoever wins this game will be the champion of the Elephino Open number 14 tournament. So he wants to make sure he thinks out all of his plays very carefully so nothing silly happens. Now we'll see what Sneezy Dwarf Lightning Bolt allows him to kill the juggler. I guess you got to use it. You've already used a decent amount of burn on minions, so might as well continue that path. Oh, the high main coming up from Moxie. That is huge. We've already seen an Earthshock used from Sneezy Dwarf. I highly doubt he's using two. And if that Savannah high main can connect, that's going to be a lot of damage. Rock Biter, not going to do it. So Sneezy Dwarf, pick up the Rock Biter. He concedes just off of that. And Moxie taking game 5 with the Hunter means he is the Elephino Open number 14 champion. So we will thank him for playing. We will congratulate him. Thank both of them for playing, as well as all the 256 players that competed in Elephino Open number 14. Thanks to all of them for playing. We'll do a quick shout out to strivewire.com. You can see their logo on the screen. They are a website that has a lot of open Hearthstone tournaments. So if you want to get into the open Hearthstone scene, whether you're EU or America's region, definitely check out strivewire.com. Lots of open tournaments like this one. Elephino Open number 15 will be next week, next Sunday, March 13th. The tournament actually starts at noon, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. So if you're interested in playing, that's when it will start. However, the stream portion will take place at the same time as it did today, which is 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, March 13th, next Sunday. So hopefully you guys can get involved playing or viewing. That would be really awesome. We would really appreciate it. But for now, that will do it for us here. So we will thank you all for watching. Hopefully you'll tune in next week and have a good one.